Hi all. I was lucky enough to be down at the Garden Press event recently. Managed to catch up with some of the gardening glitterati. Got some really good interviews lined up. One of them is with Henry Agg, who's a new influencer on Instagram. Check him out if you haven't seen him. I think he's actually now signed up with Alan Titchmarsh for some social stuff and some interviews. So I caught up with Henry and found out what he thought of the show. The Gardener's World stand.
There's the massive marquee, which is absolutely mega.
So next up is a quick chat with Insta account Henry Agg.
Yeah.
Henry, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
You've been going around the show. What have you found that's been interesting?
Well, I like this event so much because there are lots of new exhibitors that you haven't quite heard of. So I saw some funky new company, I think it's called the Outdoor Space, with some crazy colourful umbrellas, which aren't necessarily my taste, but I could see how they would fit certain other influencers and content creators' taste as well. So I like just seeing new brands, new companies come up as well to exhibit at the press event. And then I like seeing the same familiar ones as well. So Still, I have done some work with them in the past, and
Do you use Still products?
Still products I use quite a lot in my garden, and I just like seeing the new product innovation, new tools.
Sorry, where are you based again?
Brighton,
I thought so.
Brighton and Hove,
Because you've got a bit of a slope, haven't you? Or did have, didn't you?
It's a massive slope.
Yeah, which you cut out.
So it's a tiered coastal garden, and just constantly battling the elements, so it's fun.
So there's quite a bit of machinery used there then?
A lot of machinery. So I do kind of come to this event to look at the new tools that are coming onto market. But the one that pleasantly surprised me actually was the Garden on a Roll. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yeah.
Because as a designer, I talk about planting plans and garden design, layout design, and that's just what I do day to day. But actually, there's a lot of people that reach out to me and they talk about, how can I transform this little bed or this little border, and what plants can I use where, and how do I layer it, how do I set it out? So actually, it's a really fantastic concept of having a specific group of plants that people can order, but then also a stencil template for them to lay out in whatever border they have, whatever size, and it tells you exactly where to position the plants based on their eventual spread. So it's that was a good one. I like that one.
So apart from Still, anyone else that's caught your eye?
So Still was good. The Bosch stands, the Power Tool brands just in general, I quite like that because I do a lot of garden DIY.
Yeah.
Garden on a Roll, loves Garden on a Roll. I think that's a great concept. Crocus. I do some work for Crocus already as an ambassador for them, so just going and seeing that team and just looking at them.
What about plant-wise? Anything new out that you think could take off? Or?
To be honest, I haven't looked much at the plants. I've just sort of been doodling around and speaking to a lot of people. So I find this event's a great lead up to other events that happen, like Chelsea and Hampton Court and Malvern. It's a great meet-up for lots of different sort of influencers, press, media, as well as looking at obviously exhibitors and stuff like that. But it's just a great social event as well as an opportunity to see some of the latest stuff coming to market.
Cool.
But
so give us a bit of background with you then. How did you get into it all?
So I started gardening. I was gardening as a kid.
Right.
I mean, everyone will sort of say that story, but I started gardening as a child. My dad was an avid gardener, so I kind of learned the ropes with him. My granddad was an avid gardener. My great-granddad, my dad actually sent me this ancestry document because he's very obsessed with ancestry, and it's a really old record of my great-great-great-grandfather and then his job title being a gardener. So it's like generations of gardening in our family.
Oh, excellent.
But
you had no choice then, really?
No, it's just like innate within me. But no, I started the Instagram stuff about 5.5 years ago.
Right.
When I was boring my family with like videos of me doing brickwork and stuff for 5 minutes. I said, look, don't send it to the WhatsApp group, just create like a social media thing. And from that point I did, and I just made shorter videos, and then people started to follow along, so it just sort of grew from there.
So is it just Insta or what?
No, so it started with just Instagram, and I then had a platform to share my love of gardening and my passion for gardening. And then I documented the sort of design process and the build of my first 2 gardens. And then from there, I thought, I have this online community. I want to just back my knowledge, because I backed my knowledge anyway, but it's nice to have qualifications to support it. So I then trained with the RHS early on, probably within that first year of starting, and then trained with the English Gardening School in garden design. And then about 18 months ago started my design practice. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been a bit of a roller coaster, yeah. It's been 5.5, 6 years of just constant sort of evolution to this passion, which is quite nice.
Excellent. Yeah. All right. Oh, sorry. Got people coming through.
Yeah.
What are your views on the use of, or excessive use of plastic in the gardening sector? Things have obviously got to change. So what are your views on that?
Myself in my garden, I do a lot of upcycling, and I do find it frustrating when all plants are delivered in plastic pots, and you go to a garden centre, it's traditionally plastic pots that can't get recycled in your normal sort of recycling bins as well. But even at this event, you see a lot of companies that have wool fibre pots or coir pots, and I like the fact that you can just plant it out, it biodegrades, and there you go. It's saving on plastic. My view is that any plants that deliver should either be wrapped in cardboard, Hessian. There's
it's like the M1, isn't it?
But and there's also alternatives. I mean, for example, would let this go. No,
it's all right, carry on.
but there's also alternatives to coir and wool fibre. You've got burlap, you've got Hessian, all of these other types.
What's burlap?
It's a bit like Hessian.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I love coffee. I'll divert this conversation back to my love of coffee. But I go to a local coffee roaster and they throw out the coffee bags. The burlap, like Hessian bags. And I reuse those in the garden. So if I want to line my hanging baskets, for example, I'll cut them down and reuse those. I'll line pots, I'll grow potatoes in them. So anywhere I can reduce my plastic consumption with creative things that aren't stuff you necessarily have to buy on the internet or online, then I'll do it, really. Because
that's what we need more of.
Yeah. And also water conservation. I garden on a sloped chalky garden, so all of the plants that I grow have to be drought tolerant prairie style plants that thrive in my conditions, and that does that does 2 things. One, that's the whole right plant right place concept, and you're only choosing plants that thrive in your conditions. But 2, if you're growing plants that are adapted to tougher drought conditions, it saves on your water consumption, how much you water. So I don't water my garden. I mulch it periodically, but I don't need to water it at all. So I'm always looking at ways in my garden to either upcycle materials, look at sustainability from other, angles, viewpoints in terms of saving water consumption. So, but repurposing and basically reusing everything in the garden in terms of the plant material. So I take the plant material away, compost it in my big bays, bring it back. So I don't. It's like that whole zero waste gardening approach.
Which what it should be.
Yeah.
More of.
Yeah. So it's good coming to these events because you get to see different companies adding their little sustainability elements to what they do.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously the whole movement around peat-free has just got bigger and bigger and bigger. We're sort of leading the way in that sense. And there's other creative solutions coming out to help us be more sustainable as gardeners, which is nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks for insight.
No worries.
Cheers.
My pleasure.
And we'll see you again, hopefully, at another event.
At the next at the next press event or Chelsea or something like that. Yeah.
If people can see us.
Yeah. You have to cut that bit out where I didn't know what I was saying. I'll trust you to do the.
That'll be in the outtakes.
The outtakes.